Unreal Engine 5, probably not killing games, probably. This video is mostly in response to the video titled Unreal Engine is Killing Games by Vex, and then also the article, It's Time to Admit It, Unreal Engine 5 has been kind of rubbish in most games so far, and I'm worried about bigger upcoming projects. More like Unreal stuttering. The thesis of most of these videos is talking about the new Stalker 2 release, and then sort of attributing some of the optimization problems or blaming the game's failures a lot on Unreal. Maybe not all the way, but like the vibe I get is the vast majority. Dude, look, he has the same headphones. Just a small disclaimer, I am based and open source pilled. I am working on my game in Godot, which is a free and open source engine. It is not made in Unreal, however, it is very good and optimized because of that, maybe. You can wishlist it on Steam. I sympathize though with like the opening of this article a bit. If you play a lot of Unreal games, and a lot of them tend to not run very well, then you're going to associate Unreal with games that don't run very well. This is very similar to the image problem that Unity used to have before their current image problem. This is the original Unity image problem, where like 7 years ago, even now, Unity was the most popular engine, and so a lot of very bad games came out in it. It was a lot of people's first game, and Unity has very good documentation. Lots of YouTubers are making content about it. And when you see that Unity splash screen, when you start up one of the worst games you've ever played, you're going to associate Unity to be an engine that is only capable of making very, very bad games. However, we all know that Unity is very capable of making amazing games like the Sonic Dreams collection. Even in the article, though, it mentions an example of Hellblade 2, which is a game that runs very well in Unreal 5. In general, though, like there are plenty of games made in Unreal that run fine. The Talos Principle 2 seems to be doing okay, and people are seeming to be able to run it. Satisfactory seems to be able to run satisfactorily. Black Myth Wukong seems to be running good enough, though I've heard some people have dips in it, but it seems to be running about like on par with what you would expect, and it has overwhelmingly positive reviews. If there were huge optimization issues, I think you would probably not have that review score. That's all to say that it's a very complex issue, and there are many games that do not run well in Unreal and many that do. Unreal is obviously not perfect. There are known oddities in the game, like ones pointed out in this video with like weird water. Something is in the water and it's making the frogs have a certain affectation. There's also a talk on the Unreal channel, a presentation by the geniuses at CD Projekt Red about how they're fixing the piece of crap engine to make the new Witcher game. The Too Long Didn't Watch about the video. It seems there are some parts of Unreal 5 that are very single core dependent, more than they probably should be, but I don't really think that's what's killing games. This Digital Foundry video talks a little bit about some of them.
This game is super CPU limited, typically with frame times being spiky when you traverse the game world. And
this kind of relates to the prior presentation, this one here.
that is definitely less than ideal. The second CPU related issue is due to NPC density, which you can see right when you hit the town of Cilicia at the end of this run here. Due to the amount of real NPCs milling about here,
And then the second performance issue that they pointed out is when you enter a town and all the NPCs are very CPU intensive for their code. This one probably doesn't have a lot to do with Unreal. Overall, the general point I wanted to make with this video was the age-old aphorism of not blaming your paintbrush for the painting. If you're curious from a developer's perspective, if I have a optimization issue in my game, I do not instantly assume it's Godot's fault. I should have used Game Maker 3. Most engines have a thing called a profiler available, and if I start the one in Godot, I can look at this very spiky graph. This tracks how long it took for each frame to come out, and if I scroll through here, I can look through different scripting functions and see what took the most amount of time. In this case, the player script is taking 4.7% of each frame, and during the spike here, I can see if I'm clicked on it correctly. I can see, let's see. Yeah, it's still the player script taking the most time there. The thing is, though, I can begin to guess what the problems are with the profiler. This doesn't tell me like exactly what they are, but it gives me a good foot in the door. If you're just playing a game and you're guessing without knowing anything, you could be wrong for like so many different reasons. But yeah, I just wanted to offer like a developer's perspective on that. And then the article even like sings the praises of the Frostbite engine, talking about how beautiful it is. But if you have a long memory, you can probably remember people complaining about the optimization of every single Battlefield game, which came out in the Frostbite engine. This is all to say, though, that optimization is a very complex topic, and it's not always developers' fault. There are very tight deadlines when they make these games, and oftentimes for executives, optimization is on the bottom of the priority list. I mostly just wanted to make this video to add like a little nuance to the topic and say that like, hey, you can't instantly assume that the game engine is at fault, and sometimes like you have to go into graphs and you have to be a nerd about things to figure out what is actually at fault here. Just pointing your finger at Unreal and blaming it for all the problems misses some of like the underlying issues with game companies and executives in general.
In order to run this game, to run any Unreal Engine 5 game, it's, oh man, you need a lot. You need like a $2,000 PC or something, or if you think your console.
Do you need a $2,000 PC
run
to run every Unreal Engine game? I don't have a $2,000 PC, and I'm pretty sure most of my Unreal Engine experiences have been fine. Maybe he's talking about like if you run them on the maximum settings, you need that high of a PC. I don't know why you would use that as a metric.
Older Stalker games with the older AIs in the game were probably more sophisticated than the one in this game. Does that come from Unreal Engine 5? Does it come from this studio who used to use their own custom engine to make their game? Does it come from them being less experienced in this new one having to translate the AI that one of the...
I don't know. I think that you can make pretty complex AIs in most game engines. I would like to see him substantiate the less complexity though about the AI in this game. That would be interesting if somebody made a comparison about how the AI responds to different scenarios. If you didn't know, Unreal has very good implementations of decision trees, which is a cornerstone of modern video game AI. It's a very well-made system that allows you to make some very complex AIs. But even if you don't want to use these built-in features, you can always make your own. And Unreal 5 uses C++, which is a famously very well optimized and not very memory safe programming language. So you can really make some good things. I really just don't see a reason currently to blame Unreal for unoptimized AI.
And wherever you go to like a new loading zone in the game, then you have a little bit of a lag spike. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's that big of a deal. You know, it depends.
All hail CD Projekt Red.
Depends how the developers spread out the zones so you don't get them all the time. We've seen a lot of games that look super samey, like they just look photorealistic. It looks like they all use assets, like the same assets or something like that. But at the end of the day, Unreal Engine is clearly a very versatile base to build off of. Epic makes this engine, and yes, this is capable of photorealism, but Epic's own main game, Fortnite, isn't photorealistic. So we can clearly see that this is capable.
I appreciate him pointing out the more stylized Unreal games. It's a very common thing to parrot on the internet that all Unreal Engine games look the same. And that's because a lot of them do look very similar. But that's not because you're unable to create stylized graphics in Unreal. It's more just because people are a little bit lazy on art direction. I mean, this has been an issue since like the early 2000s when everybody complained about how every FPS game was incredibly gray and boring looking. This is not a new issue with AAA gaming. Anyways, I don't really know what the point of this video was. I just wanted to maybe add like a little bit more nuance to this whole topic of, is Unreal killing games? And my answer is still probably not, unless there's like some information I'm not aware of. There's plenty of examples of games that run fine in Unreal. There's plenty of examples of games that don't run fine in Unreal. And that can be said of actually a number of game engines. If developers are able to put in the work and they have the time to do so, I think most games can run fine. I just think that a lot of the issues come down to production issues. And I think a lot of them are not game developers' faults. And I think a lot of them, probably 80% of them, are not game engine's faults. I went over some of the examples where it could be game engine's fault, but I do think the vast majority of the optimization problems in games are not due to the engine. But yeah, Stalker does not run well. Also heard it's really fun. Still haven't played it, but it looks really fun. I might have to check it out once they get the more optimization patches. But yeah, make sure you wishlist my game on Steam. I promise you'll get 1 billion FPS. Thank you.